Hi, welcome to Tales of Dread. If you want to hear more scary stories, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. First of all, I'd like to say that this is 100% true. When I was a kid, this happened to me at a summer camp in Julian, California, called Camp Marston. I was just hanging out with my friends in the campgrounds near my cabin. We were just walking around the trails. Me and a couple of my friends were going to sneak out of our cabin and try to find the girls' section of camp. We didn't know where it was, but we wanted to check out a couple of cute girls who were there. I already know what you are thinking. Okay, that's a little creepy and like stalking. But you have to remember that we were only 7 and 8 years old at the time. If anything, it was just a kitty crush, and it was the night before the big dance, when we all went home. I remember it well. We knew it was somewhere up the trail in the woods. We didn't know where to go from there, but we figured we had all night to try to figure it out and still be back before anyone else woke up. We had been hiking for about 20 minutes when, out of nowhere, branches started breaking and cracking all around us in the woods. It wasn't like it came from just one place. It came from every direction. We stopped walking on the dirt path and hid ourselves behind some nearby bushes. At this point, our hearts were beating so fast that they felt like they were coming out of our chests. We were so scared when we looked to the left and saw these glowing eyes in the woods. They were different from anything else I'd ever seen. Not only that, but this person was too tall to be a wolf or coyote. The shape of this thing made it look like it was walking on 2 legs like a person, but it wasn't a person. It was too dark and there were too many bushes and trees to see its full shape. Still, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It couldn't have been a bear, since bears roar and are very big and thick. This thing looked skinny and strong, but it was only upper body. At this point, I knew that was our sign to get the hell out of there and go back to our cabin. I pushed my friend and whispered that we should go back to our cabin and forget about the chicks, we'd see them tomorrow. We slowly walked as quietly as we could back to our campsite, turning our heads at least once every 10 seconds to see if that thing was following us. Luckily, it wasn't, and I still don't know why it didn't, because we would have been easy prey, whatever it was. This happened to me when I was hiking with my then girlfriend off College Boulevard. It was down a side path near where Carlsbad was building a new high school. Let's be honest, you're in the middle of nowhere. You might see a coyote or a rattlesnake once in a while, but that's about it. This time, though, we saw something different. We usually go hiking during the day, but it's been hotter than usual this summer. So we decided to go night hiking instead. We were at the bottom of the hill, or where it kind of curves to the right in front of the school development, which ends on Cannon Road. Then, you could hear this far away on the other side of the dead end on Cannon, deep in the woods. It sounded big, and this wasn't a typical howl. I've heard coyotes howl and tear up their prey 100 times when they caught something. This was nothing like that. We were walking together holding hands when we both stopped in our tracks. We looked at each other and asked, "Did you hear that?" We each nodded and said something. I'm pretty much getting chills and serious goosebumps. Keep in mind that it's nighttime. So we could only see about 25% of what was in front of us, even with our flashlights and everything. All we had were a couple of walking sticks. One of them had a metal point on the end, which I bought at the Viking Festival in Vista. That doesn't do much to protect whatever it was. The wind was howling far away. Both of us ran like hell. Back up that hill to our car, which was parked at the top in a very small parking lot. We got the hell out of there, and to this day, we've never been back. I think that was a werewolf, also called a dogman. There's just no way that could have been a coyote. Last fall, a few of my friends and my dog, Buck, went camping with me on Mount Laguna in San Diego. It's the kind of place where it's nice to get away for a while. Since it was a guy's night out, we drank, grilled, and listened to music. The things most guys do. Anyway, something did happen that night. One of my friends was passed out before midnight, and the other was trying to challenge me to a tequila shot competition, which I, of course, won. I mean, my wife is Mexican, so come on. It's kind of in my genes now. Anyway, while we were sleeping or out that night, something happened, and when we woke up, my dog Buck was gone. I mean, let him off his leash. I was you. I don't know what to say. I thought he was in my tent, because I leave one corner open in case he needs to go to the bathroom while I'm sleeping. What happened to his leash? It just broke, and there is blood all over the ground near the back tree. I have no idea what it was. As these footprints got closer to where we were, they looked like giant bows. I don't know, and I can't tell you why. I've looked up everything on the internet, and a dogman is the only thing that makes any sense at all. This happened to me during my high school winter break in Vermont, more specifically in Burlington. We had rented a small wooden cabin for the weekend with my sister and stepdad. Our dad went to the local grocery store to get food for the weekend at the cabin while we stayed behind and tried to figure out how to get the TV to work. Of course, there isn't much out there for cable. It's only a couple miles away, so our dad walked there. It was snowing pretty hard, and he forgot to bring chains. After a couple hours, we started to worry, but we couldn't call them because there's no cell phone service up in the mountains. We started hearing noises outside the cabin that sounded similar to wolves but were different. It was coming from one side, and then we heard it coming from the other side. It sounded like that, but it was much closer, and then there was a loud bang on the door of the cabin. We weren't going to open it under any circumstances. We moved slowly over to the next window and peered through the curtains for a moment. I was shocked that there was no one on the porch. We kind of looked at each other, and then we heard the howl again, but this time it was much louder than the first time. There was another bang on the front door, and we heard the howl again. This time, there was violence. Before I walked up to the door, I waited a minute. Part of me was scared out of its mind. The other part of me was curious about whether or not it was our father. I told myself to grab one of those iron pickers from the fireplace. I slowly unlocked the front cabin door and turned the knob, making it slowly creak and open. I peered through a crack in the door, but when I opened it all the way, no one was there. But there was Prince. When I looked down at the fluffy snow on the front porch, I saw several huge paw prints that were too big for any wolf or coyote, or whatever it was. I have a funny feeling that it was because I was holding an iron. I remember what was right outside our cabin. My sister still doesn't believe me, and our dad didn't come home with the local forest ranger that night because he got lost. He doesn't believe me either. But when I told the park ranger what was going on, he looked like he had heard this before, even though he didn't say anything to contradict me. He just shook his head, wished us good night, and told us to keep everything locked up tight.